Hey guys, Victor here again, coming at you with another retro deck profile for the September 2011 format. And today's focus is going to be on, as you may have guessed, another Chaos deck. And I know I'm like flooding the channel a bit with it, but it's just because like for September 2011, Chaos is just such an important aspect of it ever since like Blackluster Soldier got unbanned. And yeah, it's literally just everywhere. You're so many different Chaos variants you can play, and I can tell you right now, this is not going to be the last of it. We're probably barely halfway through all the Chaos stuff that I can show, or that I want to show. But today's focus is going to be on Chaos Hero Beat, which by the name pretty much combines the aspects of Hero Beat and Chaos. We're basically just removing the Floodgates and putting in like a Chaos engine, you know, to like help give it more versatility. So with that, we can just jump straight into the deck profile. So we're going to be kicking off the deck profile with the monsters as always, and starting off with the first one, it's going to be Elemental Hero Stratos. What's not to say, there's literally every time a deck gets a new searcher, they call it the Stratos of the deck because it's just been that impactful in the metagame, and it's no different in this meta, as Stratos is pretty much pivotal in every single like hero-based variant that you want to play because it gets you access to any hero. And after that, we're also going to be playing 3 Elemental Hero Neos aliases. Since this is, as I stated earlier, basically like a Chaos Hero Beat, Neos alias is very important because we're playing cards such as Gemini Spark, and not only that, it's a light monster, so it helps feed into the Chaos engine, and yeah, just like a lot of synergy that these cards have with each other. And then after that, we're playing 1 Crusader of Endymion. This is going to be your 4th Neos alias in a sense, because it's the same thing. It's a Gemini, it's 1900, and on top of that, it's a light monster, which does help feed your Chaos engine, which is pretty important since this is a Chaos-based version of Hero Beat. Then, after that, we're going to be playing 3 Tour Guide from the Underworld. Not much to say. If you're playing a Chaos deck, you play Tour Guide. It's as simple as that. It's literally free Dark Fodder. It gives you rank 3 plays. Gets access to Sangan, which if you don't want to Xyz with, will in turn, you know, search you anything else that has 1500 attack or less. And speaking of Sangan, we of course play the 1 Sangan to go with the Tour Guides. So yeah, if you're playing Chaos, just staple. The only reason you don't really see this in like a lot of like retro formats or like videos from over a decade ago is because people couldn't afford Tour Guides since it was pretty much a secret rare only. And yeah, at that point, that's a lot of money that a lot of people just are not able to shell out. But in this point in time, as we're revisiting retro formats with Tour Guide actually being affordable, yeah, no reason not to play it. Then, since this is a stun deck combined with Chaos, we're still going to be playing 2 Doom Caliber Knights. It's a Dark Monster, 1900 beat stick, and negates any monster that activates its effect. So yeah, just a good card. Then we're also going to be playing the 2 Thunder King rai-ohs, light, 1900, pretty much one of the best MVP cards that you could have in your deck at this point in time. So yeah, just great. Then we're also playing the 2 Max Cs because it's Max C, along with the 2 Effect Veilers. Normally in most Chaos decks, you'd see me playing 3 Effect Veiler, but because we're playing Doom Caliber Knight, it's honestly not as required. But it's still a really good card, and it does provide you with some synchro plays sometimes if you don't want to like use it from your hand. Then we're playing 1 Honest because it's honest, only 1 Chaos Sorcerer because there's a lot of monsters in this deck, so space is already really tight, and sometimes it can be a break if you don't have like access to your darks or lights, because even though there is some synergy, it's not as much as like a pure dedicated Chaos deck, for example. But it's still really good to just be able to drop this, banish a monster, then you can normal your Veiler, make like Arcanite or whatever, and go from there. And then for the final one, always Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning. If it's Chaos, he's included, much like Tour Guide. No debating. He's just that good of a card. And with that, that's the monster lineup, and now we can finally move on to the spell portion of the deck. Now when it comes to the spells, since this is Hero Beat, that means we are going to be playing 3 Gemini Sparks. And what can I say? This card is fantastic. You just tribute a face-up Gemini monster, and then you destroy 1 card on the field, and if you do, you draw 1 card. So if your alias or your Crusaders get hit by like a bottomless or a deep prison, you just chain Spark, get rid of it, and then destroy something else and draw a card. Yeah, this card's insane. And then it also helps fill up your graveyard for your Chaos plays by getting the aliases and the Endymions in there pretty quickly. Then after that, we're going to be playing 3 Pot of Duality. This may seem a little bit weird because Chaos normally is like a really fast-paced special summon heavy deck. And while we do play cards like Tour Guide of the Underworld or Tour Guide from the Underworld, they're not the biggest priorities. And this deck can afford to play like a slower tempo base until we get to like all our key cards. So Duality is really good at helping us get to key, like important pieces in order to help us finish off our opponent. Then we're going to be playing 3 Miracle Fusions. So there's a lot of lights. And unlike Edison, we have access to a card called Elemental Hero the Shining, which also happens to be a light monster, and it's just like a big, beefy boss monster late into the game, or even early and mid game. It's super impactful in what it can do. It helps you get back your resources, whether it's aliases or your stratoses. And if you get back your aliases, you get more lights for your chaos stuff. And yeah, it's just a great, fantastic card. Then we play a bunch of 1-ofs. So we're gonna do the Trinity. We have Dark Hole, Reborn, Heavy Storm. Yeah, just fantastic cards. Should be in everyone's deck. You can make a case for sometimes not playing Heavy Storm if it's like a trap heavy, but I don't know, it's still too good to not play. And then only one emergency call. Since we're only playing 4 elemental heroes, it's honestly not that great, but being able to search out your stratos or your aliases is still really helpful. And for the same reason we play 1 reinforcement of the army, compared to e-call, since we're not playing like DD Warrior Lady, it's honestly just basically e-call because we don't play any other warriors. But there are, you know, like chaos monsters that you can play that Rhoda can search, such as the aforementioned DD Warrior Lady and just a bunch of DD stuff. So if you want to like check out this deck even more, I definitely recommend trying those out. But for this purpose, we're not going to be playing those. And then that's it for the spells, and I might as well just lump in the traps too because there aren't that many. Just play the 2 Solemn Warning, the 1 Solemn Judgment, the 1 Trap Dust Shoot, the 1 Torrential Tribute, and the 1 Hero Blast. And Hero Blast, I don't know, I always go back and forth on if this card is really good or if it's really bad, because it needs Neos Alias in the grave, but since this is a Chaos deck, sometimes you just have to banish it, and then you also have like Miracle Fusion and stuff like that, but I feel like at 1 it's perfectly fine. And with that, that's the main deck, and now we can finally move on to the extra deck portion. So we're going to start off the extra deck with the Fusion monsters, so that means we're going to be playing 3 Elemental Hero the Shining, easily the most important Omni Hero Fusion at this point. Unfortunately, Elemental Hero Escuridad wouldn't be released for at least like another year. If it was, we'd be able to do some cute stuff with like Future Fusion, sending a light and dark, and you know, all this other nonsense, but it's just not legal. So instead, we're just going to be playing 3 Elemental Hero the Shining. It's still a really good card because when it gets destroyed, you get back your Neos Alias and your Stratos, as mentioned previously, and it being a light means that it does help fuel your Chaos Engine if it gets removed from the field. And the only other Omni Hero we're playing is 1 Absolute Zero. You typically don't really summon it, but it still does come up in some situations where like you're able to get a water monster in the grave, and the 1 water monster that we're pretty much always getting into the grave is Leviathan Dragon. You go Tour Guide, you make this, and then later in your turn, or later in the duel, once Leviathan Dragon's been destroyed or gotten rid of, you can go straight into your Absolute Zero, and then once Absolute Zero hits the field, he's pretty much an insta-threat because it is a Raigeki, and at this point in time, if you get compulsed or like Wing Blasted or whatever, Absolute Zero's effect will activate, so it will still destroy your opponent's stuff. So just some key stuff to remember. Then after that, we're playing the 1 Levier the Sea Dragon because this is a Chaos deck, so we do banish a lot. Then we're also playing the 1 Steel Swarm Roach and the 1 number 39 Utopia. Not much to say, just good generic stuff. And then after that, we just have like a bunch of synchros, but you're typically almost never going to synchro summon in this deck. It's very rare, and if you do synchro summon, you're either desperate or like you're low on resources, or it could be the complete opposite and you're just flexing on your opponent because you can. So with that in mind, we're playing the 1 Allied Justice Cataster, the 1 Orient Dragon, the 1 Bionic Dragon of the Ice Barrier, the 1 Arcanite Magician, the 1 Black Rose Dragon, 1 Stardust Dragon, and lastly 1 Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barrier. And with that, that's the Chaos Hero Beat deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya!